Following the Australian Grand Prix, we're heading to China for the second race weekend of the season, and we're in Shanghai. After their dominant performance in the first race, let's see if Russell and Mercedes can repeat a similar performance here. For the season's first sprint race weekend, let's see if we'll encounter any surprises. I think Mercedes' performance gains on the straights will play a crucial role for Mercedes-powered cars in the final sector here. I also expect Audi, which has a wider turbocharger compared to other teams, similar to Mercedes-powered cars, to draw attention in the final sector. I expect Mercedes to be the dominant force in China, just as it is in Australia. Perhaps the only downside for Mercedes could be the sprint race, because if the team experiences problems with car setup and optimization, I'm not quite sure what they can do about it. Other than that, I expect the team to once again dominate the qualifying performance and be ahead by 3 or 4 tenths of a second. As for driver performance, I honestly don't think George Russell will be pushed too hard by Antonelli in the first half of the season. I'm confident that Antonelli has good potential, and I think he came into the season with confidence in himself and his car, and these crashes shouldn't dent his confidence. I expect Ferrari to finish second again at the Chinese Grand Prix, just like they did in Australia. Ferrari performs quite well in corners, that is, at stop-and-go points. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a track configuration that Ferrari will like in the early races of the season. I expect Ferrari to be hard to beat in the European season, or more specifically on tracks like Monaco, Singapore, and Hungary, but of course we can't predict what the update race and Ferrari's performance at that time will bring. Looking at driver performance, both Leclerc and Hamilton put in a very good race performance in Australia. With the performance Leclerc showed in the first 10 laps or so, could Ferrari somehow push itself forward and compete with Mercedes? Whether they can be competitive and achieve surprise victories in the first half of the season is a matter of curiosity for me. Strategically, I don't see any downside to the team waiting for an extra virtual or normal safety car, but if you didn't want to lose track position with Leclerc, it seemed necessary to bring Hamilton into the pits. I expect McLaren to be third among the leading teams at the Chinese Grand Prix. I thought the team could compete at the front with Ferrari and Mercedes in Australia, but the car didn't show that level of performance in race pace. However, just like Alpine, the team acquired the latest Mercedes engine during the Australian Grand Prix week. I believe the team has learned lessons from issues such as battery management or optimizing the car and engine setup and will deliver a better performance at the Chinese Grand Prix. Norris maximized what he could get out of the car in the first race of the season and finished fifth, but his teammate Oscar Piastri lost his car after going a bit too wide on the grid formation lap and ended up in the wall. The Australian now seems to have a Leclerc-like curse at his home race, but hopefully he won't face a similar problem next season. I expect Red Bull to finish fourth in the top 4 at the Chinese Grand Prix. We didn't see Verstappen show the performance he could have with a clear track ahead. If Verstappen had started from the front, could he have kept up with Leclerc, Russell, and Hamilton in the first laps of the race? Hadjar retired from the race due to a problem, but it wouldn't be difficult to predict that he would have finished the race in 6th or 7th place. But of course, as Verstappen said, we're not here to talk about what might have been. The Red Bull-Ford partnership has yielded good results for the team, and it's not hard to predict that the project will progress in a positive direction. Despite the changing regulations, Red Bull consistently finds itself at the front of the grid. A video explaining why Red Bull is the best team in modern Formula One will also be coming soon. I expect Audi to be the best of the rest at the Chinese Grand Prix. The team performed better than expected in the first race weekend, so Audi was expected to be in the midfield, but frankly, I wasn't expecting this kind of performance. Hülkenberg failed to start the race. I wonder if he could have finished the race in 10th or 11th place had he started. Could he have scored extra points alongside Bortoleto? I'm curious about the answers to these questions. My expectations for Bortoleto this season are quite high. Generally speaking, unlike his experienced teammates in the middle of the pack, I think Bortoleto, Behrman, and Lindblad will finish more prominently with their performances and become more talked about names. Bortoleto scored points for Audi in his first race and made the project happy in its first race. Could Bortoleto join the championship race with Audi in the coming seasons? Only time will tell. In sixth place is Alpine. Alpine appeared somewhat lackluster in testing for the Australian Grand Prix compared to expectations. Considering the team's adoption of the latest Mercedes engine version, the completion of its integration with the car, and the team's optimization of battery management, this situation is quite normal. Pierre Gasly did a good job for the team bringing points back to the garage, but Colapinto, like Lawson, raises questions for me when you have a car like this. While Gasly gets the most out of the car and is reliable, we'll see how well Colapinto can do the same. Ultimately, if an opportunity like the 2024 Brazilian Grand Prix presents itself, can Colapinto capitalize on it with his performance? I don't think so. Haas is in seventh place. I expect Haas to do well overall this season, but I'm not sure how well the Ferrari-powered cars will fare at the Chinese Grand Prix. While the small turbo may offer an advantage at the start, could it push these teams behind the others on the straights in the third sector? I have my doubts. Even though Oliver Behrman scored points for Haas at the Australian Grand Prix, I see the rest of the season as promising for the team. I have no doubt that this season will be Behrman's breakthrough season, and I'm sure he will do important work for both himself and the team in the midfield. Having an experienced driver like Ocon alongside him makes this duo a solid midfield team, but it wouldn't be untrue to say they still trail behind Audi and Williams driver lineups overall. In eighth place are the Racing Bulls. Although the team scores points with Lindblad, we mustn't overlook Lawson's position. Frankly, I question whether Lawson is the right driver to be on the current grid. There are drivers competing in lower series or currently serving as reserve drivers who could outperform Lawson, but at the end of the day, Formula One isn't just a performance-driven sport. Business, marketing, advertising, and sponsorship revenues are among the many different key and important factors that shape a driver's fate. Lindblad, on the other hand, demonstrated his potential at the Australian Grand Prix after showing good performance in both tests and practice sessions. Hopefully, he won't experience significant fluctuations or performance issues as the season progresses. Williams is in ninth place. Frankly, although the Williams team could potentially excel on the straights in the final sector thanks to its Mercedes engine, I believe the team is in a good position. It just needs to shed some excess weight. If the team can shed this weight, I believe it could reach a good position in the middle of the pack. I hope they don't fall too far behind their rivals by then, because team principal James Vowles said the main goal for the team is 2026. We've seen steps taken around a logical goal from Williams during this process, but the team being at this point right now is disappointing. I hope Sainz doesn't regret choosing Williams over Alpine. Although I think Aston Martin is the slowest team, Cadillac isn't far behind Aston Martin. Even though the team did finish the Australian Grand Prix with Perez, the car was practically falling apart. It's important to remember that the process they're going through is normal for a new team. Aston Martin to be the slowest team again. Although the team will start the Australian Grand Prix with Alonso and Stroll and complete laps, I don't think Aston Martin will be able to solve its problems within a week. Even if Alonso gets off to a good start in Australia, this weekend will be painful for him due to the car's position and condition.